All right, I'm Toby.
And I'm Savannah.
And this is Lady Thor from a certain point of view. So now, ever since Marvel and Kevin Feige announced at San Diego Comic-Con of a female Thor, the internet has just exploded. To be honest, we haven't seen any good reviews, people excited for this.
We have not seen really positive feedback about
really
it.
No positive feedback. And I'm sorry, when I watched it live, Natalie Portman walking across that stage, holding Mjolnir, I was super ecstatic. I've had this statue for a very long time. I have always loved Lady Thor. One of 3 full Thor lines that I own in comic form. And I don't really understand why people are hating or against this. I mean, at least we're getting a female character who is in the source material, who is a strong female lead, and who does very much carry her own.
And we don't know how they're going to portray it yet. You can say, oh, well, if they portray it in a negative way, then it's just as... But we don't know that yet. All we know is the announcement. There hasn't been a trailer. There hasn't been...
Mm-hmm. We don't know how she's going to look at all. And I'm sorry, Jane Foster has been in the Thor comics since the 2nd issue of the Thor comics. She's been there. There's been some indications where she's away, she's married to somebody else, has a kid. When she first... one of the mantles when she dons the Thor, Thor's laid down Mjolnir. He's done. He thinks he is unworthy. So he grabs a different axe that looks like Stormbreaker. It's not Stormbreaker, mind you. Grabs another axe, ends up losing his arm.
Yeah.
And Jane, who is dying of cancer at the moment, says, you know what? No. There needs to always be a Thor. The world needs to have a Thor. She grabs Mjolnir. Turns out she's worthy enough, and she becomes female Thor. I'm sorry, Thor, yes, is his name, but Thor is also a god who is reincarnated multiple times. The Asgardians die and then come back.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say that he can't come back as a female. And to be honest, a lot of the hate that I've been seeing online is from women. And do you guys not want a strong character who is strong originally and just doesn't get all of her shit randomly?
Which I know a lot of it is backlash on things like The Last Jedi and Captain Marvel. You know, things where the women aren't being represented well. They're being represented as
cocky, overpowered,
hating men.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what we need. You don't need to put somebody down to bring yourself up.
And so I understand, because I hate that. I did not like Rey's portrayal in The Last Jedi. I liked her in The Force Awakens. I did not like her in The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. I did not like Captain Marvel. I thought Brie Larson was incredibly cocky and incredibly rude, frankly, throughout most of it. I didn't like her at all. But
damn, do we love Captain Marvel in the comics.
But that does not mean that we have to hate every single female character that comes out now. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between having fair backlash against something that has had either negative press, you know, for the actors' outspoken opinions, or has had a trailer that has had annoying lines. I understand backlash for those purposes, but have a purpose for your backlash. Don't just be mad that there's a woman.
Right, and I get that a lot of people were upset that it's Natalie Portman coming back. She wasn't just bad-mouthing Marvel just to bad-mouth Marvel. It's not like she had a hard contract and just couldn't maintain it.
Yeah, she's not like Brie Larson, where she's like, oh, it's the men's fault. You know,
exactly.
It had nothing to do with men specifically.
Exactly. Natalie Portman was upset with Marvel because of the way that they treated Patty Jenkins.
And it wasn't just because she was a woman.
Yeah, and Patty Jenkins was supposed to direct Thor 2. Which I thoroughly believe would have been way better if she had done it.
We all know how Thor 2 turned out.
Thor 2 is by far not the worst Marvel movie, but
the worst of
the second to worst.
The worst of the Thor series, absolutely.
Oh yeah, by far. It followed Iron Man 2 in being a terrible sequel.
Yeah.
And thank God we got Winter Soldier that showed that we could have good Marvel sequels. Thank Odin for that. But again, it was just it wasn't only just because of what they did to Patty Jenkins, but what they did to Patty Jenkins was pretty shitty.
And it wasn't because she was a woman that Natalie Portman was upset.
It's her best friend.
I don't know if it's her best friend, but they're
very
close.
Close friends, if anything.
Like,
and
I'm sorry, if somebody fired my friend out of nowhere for seemingly no reason, I would be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
I would be absolutely pissed. It would have nothing to do with gender politics. It would be everything to do with you screwed over my friend, and now I don't want to work with you.
And I would believe that. I do think that like Kevin Feige and the Everett Marvel higher ups know that they did wrong, because look at Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
The movie was great. Not that it didn't have its flaws, obviously.
And nothing against Marvel either. Obviously, in spite of some of their downfalls, they've had beautiful phases 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
It's been beautiful. I have really no. I mean,
also, like, their 2 worst movies are just those 2.
Yeah.
They're all the way back in phase 1.
So
so that's fair.
I realize that to have such a beautiful universe, you kind of have to step on some toes along the way. But to be mad at Natalie Portman for it and think it's some kind of gender politics thing, it's just that's not what it is.
And just to hold a grudge about it over.
Yeah, and she's not.
Let's just see what she can do. She's a great actress. She knows what she's doing, and she can bring any character she sets her mind to life.
Yeah. I feel like, especially a lot of Star Wars fans, there are a lot of people that have complaints still about the prequels for whatever reason. But I'm sorry, Natalie Portman was not the flaw in the prequels. She was fantastic. I mean, she did a great job.
And people are just like looking like, oh, and one of my things with Captain Marvel is she's like, well, we need a strong female lead. We have hundreds of those. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole. We have plenty of female strong. Not saying we don't need more. Always bring on more. I do love a good, strong female lead. As if you've watched our Dark Fate Terminator trailer, you would know that too. I'm all for the Sarah Connor. So it's not that we don't have it. It's how they're representing it. They're representing it as a bunch of man-haters, which isn't what you need. You don't need to push somebody else down to bring yourself up.
So to some extent, I believe that that's where the backlash on this is coming from, that they think it's just, oh, you're just erasing the male Thor because you hate men. Mm-hmm. That's not what it is. If she hadn't been in the comics, if this had never happened in the comics, yes, you could absolutely say that that's what
then
that
we'd
is.
be on your side.
But this exists. This exists in the comics. That'd be like being mad about them making a Birds of Prey movie. Like, right. These things exist, these teams exist, these women exist in the comics, and to say that they can't be in the films now just because we're in a very sensitive time is frankly quite ridiculous, because you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You're making it seem like you are doing it because of sexist reasons, like you don't want strong women. I get it. The way they've been portraying them has been poor, but you don't know that that's going to be the case here.
Okay. And Chris Hemsworth can't play Thor forever. So why not, instead of recasting a male Thor, let's get a female Thor. That's exciting. I'm sorry. The female Thor is probably one of my favorite Marvel comic lines of all time, and it is by far my favorite Thor comic run of all times. I have always loved it. It was the first one I owned. I have gathered more complete Thor runs as I've gotten older, but that was one of my first ones.
Yeah.
And I loved every second of it. It was engaging. She's smart. She's fast, she's fast on her feet. She can read a situation. She knows what to do. And in the end, knowing she's going to die doing it, she still does what she does, knowing that it's going to end her life, which is her tying Mjolnir to the beast of, I can't remember, it's some beast. She ties it around and throws Mjolnir up so that it takes the beast with it into the sun, killing both. And then, obviously, losing her powers, and she dies because she's dying of cancer originally, so she goes back to that.
That's just the biggest thing, is that a lot of these complaints, nobody's mentioning that female Thor exists in the comics. It's like everybody thinks that this is something that Marvel's creating just now to piss people off.
Which means get your facts before you make an opinion.
Yeah, if you don't like female Thor, that's fine. Please explain why you don't like female Thor. Don't explain why you think that they're destroying Thor. That just makes it sound like you don't know anything about the comics.
Exactly.
I don't know, frankly, much of anything about the comics, and the fact that I know that Jane Foster is female Thor, and none of these people who do this for a living know, that's pretty...
And I get it, the MCU is a different entity than the comics. That's fair. And I get it. You don't have to be a fan of the comics to be a fan of the movies. You don't need to.
But at least do your research.
At least if you're making things online and you're putting stuff out there, do the research. Know what you're talking about so that you don't, A, look dumb, and B, just so that you're giving out accurate information.
I mean, the internet is the best place for inaccurate information.
I believe everything I see on the internet. I do. You have to.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, this is just our point of view. I can understand...
Yeah, and you might not like female Thor in the end. And hey, the movie might turn out to be terrible. We might not even know. I doubt it, but it's the same director from Thor 3. Takai, yep. He's coming back for it, so you already know it's going to have that level of goodness. And one other thing, I'm pretty sure, actually I know for a fact, Jane is Valkyrie right now in the comics.
Yes.
So not only does she take up the mantle of Thor at one point, she takes up the mantle of a Valkyrie. And we don't want to just get rid of our new Valkyrie. Tessa Thompson is an amazing Valkyrie. Right. So why not have another strong lead? I can see Tessa Thompson and Natalie Portman working flawlessly next to each other. I can see those characters rifting off of each other, and I can just already imagine a crazy battle with those two teaming up and fighting together against some sort of horde of something.
And that would be cool to see. Now, I don't get me wrong, I'm sure with today's issues in writing and all that, there's gonna be those annoying lines that piss you off. But at the end of the day, it's 1 or 2 lines out of a whole movie that pisses you off.
And that's kind of always been there, though. There's always been those underlying, like, little lines like, oh, really, you have to say that?
Have to
all
say
right,
that.
whatever. But again, it's just one and
it's
done.
1 or 2.
And that's what
and
would
you're
make
gonna let that ruin the whole movie?
And that's what kind of took Captain Marvel down for a lot of people.
Well, see, but her attitude through the whole movie bothered me, though. That was my problem.
Well, no, that's
with
the thing.
Marvel.
It wasn't just a 1 or 2 liner. It was an entire movie of it.
Yeah.
You know, and even though I didn't like Men in Black International that much, it wasn't it was just it was basically like Men in Black 2. Just whatever.
You know.
But they even have their one lines in there about women rights and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Bravo, done tastefully. You got it out there. We know about it. Thank you. You don't berate me and beat me to death with it. I know that there are white men in the world that have screwed over everybody.
I was just thinking of Chris Hemsworth with his little thumbs up, like, yeah, I just said something so awesome.
Yeah, and I get it, you know, and I'm always for more women in everything, paving new ways for us.
Especially when they do it in the right way.
Exactly. Just go about it the right way. You know, don't make the same mistakes that we made in the past. Just, you know, be better. That's the thing. You want to change the world? Good, do it. But be better than who changed the world before you.
And I feel like this has the potential for that.
I think so too. I think that I'm very excited for Thor.
I'm sorry, Natalie Portman is a great actress. Some people may not like her personally. I get that, but
again,
I'm sorry, she's way better than Brie Larson acting wise. I'm not saying personality. I'm saying acting wise.
Yeah, and my biggest thing is, and I say this to a lot of my family members because a lot of them have problems with actresses who share their opinions. Don't judge the art because of the artist. That's not fair. It's somebody else's work. They're just playing in it. So don't take down a movie just because you don't like this actor or actress. Who cares about their politics? Everybody has their own politics and their own views on the world. Who cares? If they're making good movies and they do a good job, let's just enjoy it.
Honestly,
because eventually there's not going to be movies anymore.
Considering all the other issues that there have been in Hollywood with
everything and anything. Yeah.
There's much worse that actors have done than have political opinions to disagree with.
Exactly. And our biggest point of this is, if this was something they were throwing out of left field, yes, then we could have a right to be upset and to kind of just come at it hard and knock down. But this is something that exists originally. This is in our source material. It's been in our source material for a very long time. And why shouldn't we? Let's get another female character who has to own it and who has to work for it and get it. Not just, oh, hey, you trained on an island for 2 weeks, if that, and now you're the best.
2 days.
Yeah, you trained on an island for 2 days, and now you're just the best there's ever been. That's not how the world works. You don't just get things. You have to work for everything.
It seems like since Chris Hemsworth is going to be in this movie, it's going to be more of a him passing off to her versus she's just Thor now and she's just amazing.
Exactly. I feel like they could even somewhat do it this way, where Thor again goes through that crisis of not feeling like he's worthy. He gives up Mjolnir. He's got Stormbreaker anyway, so he's already got his axe.
Yeah. Plus, we don't know what the character of Jane Foster's been doing since the snap. She could have been snapped away. She could have had to fight a lot more once everybody else was snapped away. I mean, a lot could have happened to her in that time period to make her more of a badass, because she would have had to do... Even
during Thor: The Dark World, she was nowhere near the worst thing in that movie.
No.
And she phoned her ass in on that movie, and she still did a great job. You know, the worst part was Malekith, because they destroyed one of the greatest Thor villains of all time. Really just ruined him. Again, not the actor's fault either. That's the writing. You know, you'll know if I think it's an actor's fault. I'll be honest about that. But I want... People need to take the step back and just realize what they're doing, you know. You gotta get your facts. You gotta know what you're talking about before you just blurt things out.
Yeah, you don't like the idea, that's fine. Make sure you know, though, that what you're saying. Well, and make sure you can justify your hatred with some logic. You know, to hate something illogically, that's probably the most dangerous thing to me. Like you're not even hating something for logical reasons. You're just hating just to be hateful at that point, and that's.
And if you're one of the people that are like, well, she wouldn't be worthy, there's so many people who are unworthy in the comics who end up lifting Mjolnir when they need to. And it's whoever can lift it will have the powers of Thor. We know that. That's been said in the first one. It still stands true to this day.
Cap was able to
Cap was able to lift it in the end. Vision. Obviously Odin, because, I mean, if
Right.
he's not worthy, who the fuck could be then? Well, I mean, I guess that's all we really have. We just wanted to put out a more positive, because we're not even faking it. We are actually very excited for female Thor, so we have a very positive review
I like
for
Natalie
it.
Portman. I'm a little biased because
Yeah,
I just
we're
love Padme.
very, very biased on that fact,
That'd
because
be like,
we love Natalie
that'd be
Portman.
like saying that you hate Carrie Fisher. I'm sorry, if you hate Carrie Fisher, you can't be my friend.
Exactly. So, we just wanted to put out a positive review on it, or a positive outlook and excitement on it. I can't wait. I'm very excited to see the plot be revealed to us and see what's going on. And then, of course, I can't wait for November 2021 so I can see it finally.
And if it sucks, that sucks. But go ahead and find this video a year later and be like, oh, haha, you were wrong. But
right, exactly. If we were wrong, we're wrong. We'll be the first to admit that we're wrong.
But the main point is that you can't judge something just from its announcement.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can speculate and make your things, but just, again, have all the facts.
Yeah, at least know where it comes from.
Exactly. So I'm just going to sit here and try to be worthy of lifting the hammer. I'll do it later on camera. I don't want to embarrass myself.
It might be kind of harsh, but that's,
It might be a little harsh.
You know what? To be fair, though, we've seen a lot of yelling, angry videos about this, and I feel like we've come at it pretty factually.
Yeah, we haven't insulted anybody. I don't think we've insulted. If we have insulted you, we're sorry, but we're not going to change what we did, because we still believe in what we did. I'm excited. I can't wait. I've always loved female Thor. Otherwise, until next time, may the films be with you.